Are you interested in digital pantograph design? Because we are going to design something together, and I'm going to show you some of the behind the scenes of what goes on in my digital pantograph design course. So I'm going to start by, I'm just going to design something. I don't know what it's going to be. Let's just jump right in and do something that I would not have done when I was first starting. I found curves to be really intimidating when I was first starting, and now I'm totally comfortable with them, and you can learn to be comfortable with curves too. Please excuse airplane. I live next to an Air Force base. Okay. Something to keep in mind is that when you are making curves, they might look funny at first, and that's okay. We can select different nodes and adjust them and get exactly the shape that we want. Sometimes it might take a minute, but right now I'm just looking at this curve here, and I like that one. I'm going to look at the outside curve that I made now, and I want to make it have a nice echo of the curve that is on the inside. Now, in my course, we go through each of the tools very slowly and one at a time so that you can learn how to use them, and I'll give you step-by-step instructions and assignments and practice so that you can learn how to do that. Now, let me back up because I'm a little out of the habit for teaching. I just made a copy of that, and what I did, there's a bunch of quick keys on the keyboard, and one of the shortcuts is that if you hold down Control and then click your selected item and drag it over and then let go, you have then made a copy, which is really cool. Now, if I go up to the top left corner, up to the Modify menu, I can mirror or flip. I'm going to flip this one. And I think I'm going to put it like right here. Now, I want to add some more shapes to fill this area and get back to this point. And I'm going to go to my curve tool to do that. Maybe we'll make a little feather. Now, feathers always look funny when you first start. That is okay. We're going to use our handles and our nodes and just pull on those nodes and handles until we get a nice curve. I'm pretty happy with that one. I've got a little feather here. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm looking at the space between the two feathers. I want it to look like a nice curve there. Now, honestly, I'm not sure how this is going to tie in with this other piece. Right now that I'm actually getting started, it's looking like it might not make it over there. So we might have to adjust our plan, which is going to be just fine. You know, for now, I'm going to go ahead and go over the end of that. We'll make this third feather. Straighten this curve out. And pull out these nodes a little bit to just had some flat spots. So we want to adjust those a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, we go from this great big feather down to these two little tiny feathers. I'm going to pull this one and make it bigger so it's like mid-range because I've decided I'm going to move this anyway. Let's just back that off. I'm going to rotate this. There's a little rotate symbol there. Now I'm going to adjust these nodes. I'm going to pull that one up and it's going to snap right into place because I've got a snap to anchor points function turned on, which is really convenient because it helps everything just snap together where I want it to be. Now, because I moved this one, now I'm readjusting the edge of this feather. Right now it's looking really square on the end here, which is not what I want. It's not what I have in mind. But we'll just keep going until it's not square. Still looks square. Okay, that looks better. But you might notice my space between this feather versus the space between this feather. This is really big and this one is really not. So let's adjust that a little bit. Let's try pulling that node up. I think that'll do. I'm going to make this, I'm going to hit Q. That's one of my keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to make that whole feather just a little bigger. I'm going to double check that this node is still snapped right there, and it still is, so that's convenient. Okay, I'm going to select all of these pieces now. I'm just going to draw a box around them. I'm in the select tool up here, and I'm going to hit Control T, and it's going to attach these all into one piece. So these are now all one piece of artwork. Now I'm going to hit E, and it's going to take me down to my shape tool, which is what I've been using to adjust my nodes. We do that in our shape tool. The quick key for that is E. So if I hit E, it takes me straight to my shape tool. Okay, so let's go back to our select tool. I'm going to hit Q on my keyboard for that. And this little guy I'm going to delete. I'm going to make another copy of this. So to do that, I'm going to hold down Control and pull over and let go. Then I'm going to go up to the top left corner to modify, and I'm going to select flip. And I don't know where this is going to want to fit. We're definitely going to have to add some other shapes here to make this a continuous design that will work. I wonder what will happen if we put this right here. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to select both of those. I held down Control as I clicked on the other one to select them both. We're going to go up to the Tools menu up at the top left, and I'm going to come over here to Repeat. And this is going to give us a look at what we're looking at so far. Now I'm going to adjust the horizontal distance ever so slightly. Actually, I'm going to take it out a little bit. I'm comparing the space here to the space here. I want those two to be about the same because it's repeating both of these designs, and those spaces are going to be a little different. Now I'm going to scoot down the vertical distance. Okay, this obviously is not fitting perfectly. Oh, I have an idea though. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK so I can remember what this looks like. But I'm going to take one of these pieces. I'm going to copy it and bring it over here. And I'm going to rotate the whole thing a little bit. And now I'm going to copy another one and modify and flip. And see what happens if I repeat these two. Now, so far that's fitting together a little better. I'm still going to have to add some more shapes. I don't want it to get too close at this point. Let's try this right here. So I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to turn one of these pieces a different color. I'm going to come down to the colors at the bottom, and I'm going to right-click on the color I want to change it to. Now keep in mind, I'm starting here and I'm ending here, and I need to get over to here. So I've got something else needs to happen here. So I need to fill these different shapes. I'm going to start by echoing around this feather out to here. So I'm going to use my curve tool to do that. And I'm just going to start on that point and make some little lines there. And let's go to there. Now I will bring in Well, let's adjust these first. Okay, I want this to be a little smoother. Right now it just looks kind of chunky coming off of there, which isn't necessarily bad. It's just not the look I'm going for. I'm going to zoom in a little closer to get this to move just a little bit. I like that. Okay, that's a nice smooth curve now. Move that one a little bit. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to select just these two pieces. I'm going to hit Control T. And I'm going to pull this over here and I'm going to modify and flip. And I'm going to bring this piece over here. I'm going to zoom in so I can line it up where I want it. That looks pretty good. I'm not actually going to attach it at this point, but this just helps me see what I'm working with. Because the red one is the one that I'm changing. That's what I am going to change. So I'm going to take this endpoint, I'm going to pull it over to there, and I'm going to adjust this handle to give me a nice curve. Okay, that is looking pretty good. Now, if I attached this to the red one, which I could totally do, this would work pretty well, but I haven't filled this space yet. So I think I'm going to come in here and we're going to figure this out. Maybe I'll add some more feathers. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to split the line. I'm going to right click to split the line. And let's try pulling this whole point way over here. Now I can't quite get the curve I want with the number of nodes I have, so I'm going to add a point there. I right-clicked and added a point. And I want this to fit into this corner nicely. I think that looks pretty good. And I think I need to lengthen this handle just to give that a good curve. Okay, so now if I can fill this space, I think feathers. I think it wants to be just some more little feathers. So I'm going to come here. And I need to not get too large because it needs to fit into this space. And remember, it's okay that they're going to look a little wonky right when we start. Part of the process, it's okay. I'll go back to my curve tool. This is getting really close to this piece underneath it, so I'm probably going to add a little bit more space between my rows the next time I repeat it. I'm going to go ahead and overlap this, even though I don't want it to overlap in real life, but I'm going to move the other one down, so it'll be okay. So I am switching back and forth between my curve tool and my shape tool to I'm using the curve tool. Okay, my mouse is shaking a little bit. Probably my hand is shaking a little bit. So I'm using the curve tool to draw my curves. And then I'm using the shape tool to adjust my curves. Now this looks kind of square right here, so I want to... Something needs to smooth. So I'm going to put this one in and then pull these handles out. I think that looks better. Now I'm going back to the curve tool. I just hit C on my keyboard. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw these last two feathers at the same time. Now, that is really wide. I don't want it to be that way when I'm done. I'm going to pull down this handle. We'll adjust the curve of this one. And then this one, I'm going to just nestle it right into there. We can see how we just fixed that a lot. It looks better now. Okay, now I need to attack these square. We want these to look like pretty feathers, not like something that's not pretty. So it's just going to take a minute now to adjust them. I'm just looking at this shape right now. I'm going to pull this end in a little more and the corresponding one. And now I think this point needs to come in. Okay. Let's finish up these two little guys. Well, actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and connect these all and do a repeat and see how we're looking. Now, I know these ones are weird still. We will fix that soon. So I selected all of them. I'm holding down Control and I clicked on all the pieces. I'm going to hit Control T. And I am going to hit Control and click on this and drag it over and do that again and make a copy. Now I'm going to flip that. And I should have turned off my notifications before recording this. So I just use nudge on my keyboard. If you hold down Control, you can use the arrow keys to move your pieces over just a little bit. I'm zooming back out. Okay, I've got plenty of space here. I'm going to go back up to Tools on the top left corner. I'm going to select Repeat. Remember, it automatically gives me my 3x3. Because I have they were attached into one piece of artwork, I can use point to point and it will snap these together. So I don't have to adjust my horizontal distance at all. Now I'm going to put in my vertical distance. And I'm looking right here because I want the spacing to be there. And you can see these two that I haven't fixed yet. I'm going to fix them now and I'm going to fit them into that space. So there's a reason I didn't fix those yet. Okay. So this time, because I'm only working on half of this at a time, I'm going to go ahead and find the point in the middle where the two motifs match. I'm going to right click and split the line, and I'm just going to work on this one. So I'm going to turn it a different color, come back to the blue and right click. And I can see that one is now a different color. So this is the area I want to focus on to fix these feathers because they're a little weird looking still, and I want to fill this space a little better. So whether I do that with just this feather or both of the feathers, we'll see. Now, I don't always do feathers just because I'm talking about feathers right now. It just came to mind, so that's what I started creating. But if you are a designer and you hate feathers, you don't ever have to design them. You can design whatever comes to mind. And a lot of times I'll just start making shapes and I'll flip stuff around and mirror it and fit it together and oh, look, I surprised myself and came up with something completely new that I wasn't expecting. And I bet the same thing will happen to you. When I sit down to design, I usually do not have a finished picture of what I want it to look like in my head. It all just happens and it comes during the process. So now as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing a big space here and very little spaces here. And I'm wondering what would happen if I make this part smaller and squeeze everything just a little bit closer together. So this is actually a new trick I just learned. I am going to draw a box around these points and select them all at once. And I'm going to move all of these all at the same time. I knew you could select multiple points before, but I didn't know you could draw a box around them. That is a time saver. So now I'm just going to adjust the ones on the edges. So the end pieces look pretty good, but I made a square corner here, so I need to adjust for that to get these back where I want them. I think I'm going to just delete this point and then smooth this out a little bit. I think this one needs to come back in just a little bit. Let's pull that out. I think I'm going to pull this one down just a little bit more, maybe with a little bit more of a curve. Might change my mind on this if it looks a little too square or weird or whatever, but we're giving it a try. Okay. It does look a little weird that this one feather is really big and the other ones are small, but, and now that I'm zoomed out, this curve doesn't look totally smooth. So I'm going to straighten this out a little bit. I'm going to add a point. Just looked a little bit square in there. I'm going to add a point here. I'm going to pull this one out a little. Zoom in closer and pull it up less. Okay. So let's go ahead and copy this and see how we're doing. So I'm going to go back to my select tool. I'm going to pull a copy over. Remember, I'm holding down Control. I'm going to pull another one over. I'm going to hit the period button on my screen so I can zoom over to where I was. That is a big time saver. And modified, I flipped that guy and I'm going to match up these two endpoints. When I first started designing, I'm attaching these with Control T. When I first started designing, I was sure I was going to run out of ideas. But guess what? That's not how ideas work. The more you practice and play around with shapes and create more art, the more of it is going to be good art. Sometimes it's not good art. I'm going to hit period on my keyboard to zoom into that. Well, this is looking okay. What do you guys think? Let's see. I'm looking, because this is really big compared to, I'm going to go ahead and split this. This one piece, this one feather is just so much bigger than the other guys. Oh, no, that's not the one I wanted to select, that one. I want to make just this feather. I want to make it match. Sometimes if there's just one, or at least to blend in a little bit better, if there's just one, it looks like a mistake more than a design element. That looks a lot smoother. I'm much happier with how that one fits in. And it's still bigger than the others, but it's more to scale because it just works better. All right, I'm going to nudge this down with my arrow keys. And then let's pull that point down. And then this one, I think, nope. This one, I'm going to move that one up. That is much more to scale. I think I'll make this one just a little bit bigger because this one, this feather here corresponds to this feather here. And because we made that smaller, this one's going to have more space. So I could take it out, looks like about 1/4 of an inch. But but I still want to have a nice curve on this. Honestly, I didn't love the curve on this little tiny guy. Sometimes the first one is hard to do especially if you don't have something for it to snuggle right up to. Okay, I'm going to bring this one in just a little bit more. I know I brought it out just a minute ago. Sometimes you back up and look at it and you're like, that's not exactly what I was going for. All part of the process. Okay, I'm going to look at these curves again on the little guy here because it's just not exactly where I want it. Okay, I'm going to go back to my select tool. I'm going to select all 3 of these pieces, and let's make a repeat of this and see how we're doing. Oh, I didn't change the color of that one, but I knew I was working on this middle one. I'll go back and change it retroactively. Okay, modify and flip. And we're going to match these points. I'm using nudge. Remember, just holding down control and using my arrow keys. That looks pretty close. So far, so good. Although I do think this little swirl in the middle might need some more work on it. Hit point to point. This looks so much smoother now that feather's not ginormous. Pull that one down there this time. You can see how this has evolved. So started with a simple curve, added a couple feathers, added a couple more feathers, couple more and some echoing, and made some adjustments. So this is what I'm at right now. And I don't know if I'm going to keep this exactly this way. I'm sure I'm going to keep tweaking this and playing with it. Maybe I'll add something in the middle. Maybe I'll make the swirl like bigger rather than just one little hook of a curve. Maybe I'll add another repeat. I don't know. So let's go ahead and play with it some more right now. Okay, so I split the line, so I'm only working on half of it at once. And seeing some of the adjustments I'm thinking of making are the exact opposite of what I made before. I think I brought this out before. Rather than taking it in, I'm going to try taking it out some more. Is this the right choice? I don't know. We are finding out. At a point here, I'm going to pull in this center. Now that looks scary right now. But now I'm going to pull on this handle. I'm probably going to need to add another point. And definitely I'm going to need to add another point. Right now I'm just looking at the outside of the curve. Now this is a cusp point, so I can put a point on it. But it's not just a smooth curve like the rest of these nodes are. That one is a cusp. I think adding more of a swirl to that swirl was a good idea. I like it better. I think I'm going to flatten this part. It's just a little bit, it was just very, very curved. Okay. Right, I didn't change that color. So I'm going to check out the spacing all around. It's getting a little close right there. Right there, where I made this so much bigger. Maybe I'm going to make the whole swirl smaller. Okay, so I'm selecting all of those points all at once. I'm going to pull this. Let's try that. So I've got a couple things I need to fix now. That's okay. Oops. So I need to click off of that so I can then adjust the individual nodes from there. Moving them all is not necessarily, like, it feels like it's going to be a shortcut, but sometimes it isn't, because then you have to just get everything to fit back together. So it may or may not be faster to move several at once, but sometimes it is. Now this is looking flat right there. If I pull that out, I think that will give us a better curve. Got a little bit of a point right here. So if I shorten that handle, that gives us more of a smooth line. Now I gotta analyze. Okay, let's go ahead and repeat this again. So I'm gonna go back to my shape tool. I'm going to pull a copy over and another copy and modify and flip. Now I need to line up that start and stop point. Nudge into place. Hold down Control, select both, and hit Control T. Then I hit period to zoom out to my selection. I'm going to go back to Tools, back to Repeat, hit this point to point, and they'll snap together. And then adjust my vertical distance. And it went farther than I want. Looking at the closest area, which is right about there. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Quite good, in fact. But I'm not sure how tall this is. So I'm going to pull one out and go up here to the transform menu. This is only 4 inches tall. That's so cute and little. I'm going to change it to 8 inches tall. And let's zoom in on it. And now let's look at the spacing. 8 inches might be actually a little too big for this one. So I'm zooming in so that on my computer screen, the inch is about the size of an inch. Honestly, I use a Post-it note as a reference point because a Post-it note is 3 inches. And I can hold that up to my screen. You can't see what I'm doing right now, but I hold it up to my screen and compare. And that helps me to know if the spacing is good. And this one honestly looks just a little big in the swirl. So let's try this at 6 inches, which honestly isn't that much bigger than 4, but it is still bigger. Actually, maybe 8 was good. Let's try 7. I think that looks like a good size for this particular one. So I'm going to snap together the points and adjust the vertical distance. And it would be really convenient if this gets to 1/4 of an inch, negative 1.25. I wonder how much space that's going to give us between. Let's just check it out. How much space is here? that is just less than 1/2 inch. And honestly, I think that spacing looks okay. Let's pull this down a little bit. So I'm quite happy with this repeat with that spacing. Just thinking a little more. Is there something else I could add to this? Absolutely. I could add a little circle right here, just a little pearl, or even right here. So it gives this first feather something to curve around. But I'm not sure if it needs either one of those. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit copy and Control N and Control V to paste that on my new artboard. And I want to turn it to blue. And so now I've got a finished design. Let's check out the stitch out. I'm going to go to preview, change it to stitches, and select stitch out. And let's watch. Isn't that fun? Great. Okay, there's one more thing I'm going to check. Well, two more things. Right now, my overall width is not a really even number. And I'm going to adjust it just a little. It's still not an even number, but it's on a 1/4 inch, and I do like that better. And I need to make sure that my start and stop points are on exactly the same horizontal plane, because if they're not, they are not going to work as an edge to edge. So I've selected both of those points. I just clicked on each one while I held down Control. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go down to Align and select bottom. I could have selected top, but now I know that those 2 points are aligned on the same horizontal plane. This design is now done. All I have to do is give it a title. I don't know what title I'm going to give it yet, but some tags. It's going to have let's do swirls first. Swirls, feathers, and curves. And this one needs -1.25 inches between the rows. There is no offset, so I'm going to delete that. And there's no backtracking. And I'm going to hit apply so that does not disappear. So now all I have to do is add the skew and add a title. So I need to think about what I'm going to name it. I'll come up with something, but I'm not going to make you sit and walk. I'll come up with something, but you don't need to watch me do that. So, all right. Well, I hope you thought this was interesting. If you have any questions about designing digital pantographs, I'd love to answer those for you. It's so fun to just be creative and see what happens on the screen. When I started, I had no idea what this was going to look like. Now let's go back to my original design. I'm going to pull this one over. We went from that to this. Kind of fun, huh? Anyway, if you think you're not creative, I'm going to show you that there are skills that you can learn. You can learn how to create lines and shapes that you didn't even imagine existing before. And this art now exists because I sat down and played around for a while. I wonder what you can create. I hope to see you inside my course.